Sir, Inspector Lestrade asks that you come with me at once.
What's he done now? Lost his way to Scotland Yard? Watson, grab a compass. You means us.
No, you means you.
It's Lord Blackwood, sir. Well, it appears he's come back from the grave, sir.
Most engaging.
Very clever. I pronounced the man dead myself.
What are the facts?
Groundskeeper claims he saw him walking through the graveyard just this morning, sir.
I'll leave this in your capable hands. I have an appointment with Mary.
It's not my reputation that's at stake here.
Don't try that.
Have the newspapers got wind of it yet?
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid, sir.
Certainly. What's the major concern?
Panic. Sheer bloody panic, sir.
Indeed.
You're not taking this seriously, are you, Holmes?
Yes, as you should. It's a matter of professional integrity. No girl wants to marry a doctor who can't tell if a man's dead or not.
Hi, I'm Nat, he's Matt, and we got your geek news right here.
And this week it's a review of Guy Ritchie's new take on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's world of Sherlock Holmes.
Now, there's been a lot of opposition to this one from Conan Doyle purists all throughout production.
Now, signature elements like the deerstalker hat and the 7% solution, which we didn't see a drop of in this film, had people up in arms. But before we talk about the accuracy of this pseudo-adaptation, let's talk about Sherlock Holmes just as a film.
Got some flowers for you, sweetheart. Cut you a deal because you're so pretty.
Oh, my lucky day.
And I go just you got something for me.
Now what have we got here? Oh! Thank you.
This film oozes Guy Ritchie, and it's a very good thing. He did a fantastic job of making Victorian London feel relevant, but still historical.
It's a contemporary steampunk twist without losing the feel of a period piece.
Now, we're not going to talk too much about the accuracy of the brawling bit, but the style of the brawl, wow, that was awesome.
Sure, and the premeditation of the fighting was visually compelling, and so cool to see all the details in slow-mo. And the inner monologue was pretty hilarious, too.
Yeah, now the speed ramping bit, that's nothing new in a Guy Ritchie film, but I have never, to have it used like this, the speed and the sharpness of Sherlock's mind is really what it gets across. And it's the best I've ever seen this technique employed.
Definitely. That non-linear thinking also made for some great reveals of how Sherlock's mind deduces.
Now, Ritchie did a great job of showing the audience what Watson sees. And then as the film progresses, we get to see Sherlock Holmes and what he's been seeing the whole time. Like the reveal of the beggar scene.
Exactly. In the trailer, you see that nose that he has, and you're just like, what's going on there? And it turns out it's this brilliant little plan that he has.
And you kind of get to see a bit of him, and then it goes back and explains the whole thing. And it was just great to see that, and the way that they managed to mix that sort of action with the comedy was fantastic.
Definitely, any of the fight scenes, like with the giant Frenchman and the bits of like banter in French, very clever and very amusing.
And that bulldog that they had, it just felt so British. It was great to see that thing just constantly passed out.
The experimental guinea pig bulldog.
Now, one thing I noticed that was kind of interesting was in the trailer, we see these scenes of Rachel McAdams and Robert Downey Jr. having these sort of little fight scenes, and there's a point where you see Rachel's sort of bum as some bit of her teddy drops off. That's not in the movie at all. So I'm curious as to whether that's a missing scene, if there's a little bit more development, whether their relationship goes on another sort of twist somewhere.
Oh, speaking of relationship, in this movie it was hilarious to see the bromance between Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Bromances are so modern right now. Everyone's talking about bromance this, bromance that. Yeah, and I just thought it was an excellent relationship between the two of them. It's
sure.
I mean, I wish there had been a bit more detective work, since that's where the fun with Sherlock always is. But
and without giving away the ending, I really felt like there was a real Scooby-Doo feel to it, which I know Sherlock Holmes predates and inspired, but still.
Now, on that note, let's talk a bit about Conan Doyle's source material.
If I'm in danger, so are you. Come with me.
You're not listening. I'm taking you to either the railway station or the police station.
Since List wasn't a straight adaptation of any particular Conan Doyle story. There's nothing plot-wise to compare here.
Yeah, the only area we can really explore is the characters, which definitely got a facelift from any version of Holmes and Watson we have ever seen.
Which casting Jude Law as Watson really helped with, since
Yeah.
he really did come across as an able and useful part of the team, instead of a clumsy, overweight goof. Like, he really held his own.
Absolutely, and with Robert Downey Jr., he was so much fun as Holmes. And despite the missing elements, like, you know, basically all those things we take for granted in Sherlock Holmes' appearance, and it has nothing to do with Conan Doyle's writing at all.
Exactly, true. You know, like the deerstalker hat and the calabash pipe were never in the books, but we've just come to expect them since 100 years of plays and movies have just made us.
Yeah, now the lack of Sherlock's drug use and then the fact that they played up the depression,
Right.
those are both very out of character for him. But the brawling, that was right up Holmes'
so
alley.
good.
I mean, in that line of work, you kind of have to be pretty good with the whole hand-to-hand combat thing. I mean, just look at Batman.
Plot-wise, this movie was certainly as twisty and turny as anything Conan Doyle wrote himself.
Yeah, and with the addition of characters like Irene Adler and Mary Morstan and Inspector Lestrade, and even with the mention of Mycroft, it was a very clear attempt to make this feel at home in the Doyleverse.
And the reveal of the Shadowed Man's name definitely sets us up for some fun as this franchise spins out sequels.
Absolutely. Now, it's anyone's guess as to whether subsequent films are going to be closer to the adaptation with stories that Doyle wrote, or whether we're just going to see more new adventures from a Victorian super sleuth who happens to be named Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, well, you know what? Make sure to let us know what you thought of Sherlock Holmes on yourgeeknews.com.
And keep your eye out for upcoming review of Heath Ledger's final film, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, to round out our 2009 geek movies. But keep an eye on yourgeeknews.com in 2010 because, well, it's the year of movies like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland,
The sequels to Iron Man, Harry Potter, and Twilight.
the adaptations of The A-Team, Jonah Hex, and Prince of Persia.
The remakes of Wolfman, Robin Hood, Clash of the Titans, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
So keep your eye on yourgeeknews.com in 2010 for more sweet sneak peeks into the films we're looking forward to.
Because you know you're looking forward to them too.
All the dogs on the rocky road, a double of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to Herriton and down the rocky road, and all the ways to double and make for Lollygar.
That's it, big man. You won. Congratulations.
Boy, we ain't done yet.
This mustn't register on an emotional level. First, distract target. Then block his blind jab. Counter with cross to left cheek. Discombobulate. Dazed, will attempt wild haymaker and weaken right jaw. Now fracture. Break cracked ribs. Heel kick to diaphragm. In summary, ears ringing, jaw fractured, 3 ribs cracked, 4 broken, diaphragm hemorrhaging. Physical recovery, 6 weeks. Full psychological recovery, 6 months. Capacity to spit it back of head, neutralized.